Hello everyone, this is Trish from Multicultural Miracle Donor Foundation. Yes, that's a mouthful, better known as MMDF. I'm the living kidney donor, and this is my recipient, Kimberly Bennett.
Hello everyone.
Thelma and Louise back together again, and we're here for an impromptu, unrehearsed, fun Q&A that's presented by EMAT, Educating Minorities About Transplants. They are a 501c3 out of Jacksonville, Florida. The founder and executive director is Mrs. Shirley Scott Brill. We partner with her every National Multi-Ethnic Donor Awareness Month that happens every August to bring awareness and help change the numbers and diversity for people of color about transplants. She gave us a few questions. They're funny but serious, so stay tuned. We're gonna tackle them and go through them right now. So Kimberly is asking us, how did we meet?
So we met at a beauty salon. I was a hairstylist at the beauty salon where she was a client of another hairstylist. And we met and we've been friends ever since.
And that had to be in 1996?
1996.
Yes. And that was La Mirage. And I'm still very close. We're both still very close to them. So I'm thankful that we met each other that way. Fun times together prior to Kimberly's kidney disease. And yes, this is how we call ourselves, Thelma and Louise. She's my Thelma.
She's my Louise.
And we had so many adventures, and of course, minus the ending of the movie. But we had so many fun adventures and great times. So, friends since 1996.
Girls trip.
Yes, I agree. And Miss Shirley and the rest of everyone wants to know, did Kimberly ask me for a kidney? No, Kimberly did not. She was private, and I think maybe you felt like you didn't want to go around asking people.
Yeah.
It's a big ask.
I felt embarrassed because a lot of people didn't know what I was going through, but I just felt embarrassed asking somebody, like, how do you ask somebody for an organ? I just couldn't fathom that, how to ask someone to give me an organ.
And it's a big ask, like most people. And now I'm sure if you could do it all over again, you would know, like everyone listening, advocate. If you're on dialysis now, you should advocate. Don't be afraid. Definitely advocate for yourself. Do the flyers, do social media, do the magnets, do the billboard, because you never know. The most donors come from social media or just from seeing something.
Tell your story. Get your story out there. Just tell as many people your story as possible. I mean, because you just never know who that person may know. And the more you tell, the more you get your story out there, the more than likely you'll find someone that is willing to give you the gift of life.
Yes, I agree. Well said, Kimberly. And when did you realize how serious her need was for a kidney? Like I said before, we had so many Thelma and Louise adventures. I started noticing they were becoming far few in between. Unfortunately, around the time when she was going through her dialysis, my parents were ill, both of them being elderly geriatric patients, age group. They were suffering a lot. So I come from a small town on the Florida Panhandle by the name of Port St. Joe. So I was driving 9 hours each way every weekend. So I didn't have the actual moment to sit down and realize what was going on. So unfortunately, they did pass 2 years later, and I was able to call Kimberly up, and that's when I called you, right?
She called me one day. I was laying in bed after dialysis. I I was tired, I was weak, and she said, I was just calling, to catch up. We haven't spoken in a while, and I just been busy with my parents. And we just started to talk, and I just started to tell her about my journey on dialysis. And just out of nowhere, she was like, well, do you think I could donate to you, even though we're not related? And I was just like, I don't know. I don't know the answer to those questions. However, I can give you the information to the living donor transplant team, and you can ask all the questions. They can give you all the information, and then you can make a decision after that. After they inform you of what it entails.
Yes, that was where I was misinformed, and like a lot of people, not knowing the information or having the knowledge. I was ignorant when it came to organ transplantation. So I called Tampa General and found out, because we weren't biologically related, I could still possibility match her and be a donor. So that is why it's important for us to know that you need to try to be, a donor, a living donor for someone who is on dialysis. Because a lot of people realize or know someone who owns dialysis, but don't have the knowledge of getting off dialysis. Because there are over 105,000 people waiting for a life-saving transplant. But guess what? 60% of those people waiting are of color. So it's important. And Kimberly wants us to talk about our recovery time. You can go first on this.
So the recovery time, in the beginning, when we did the prelims for the transplant surgery, I was told I was going to have to spend, a couple of weeks in the hospital. And because I chose to go over to Tampa General, and I live in Fort Lauderdale, that I would have to stay in Tampa for at least 3 months post-op. However, the surgery was a success. My recovery time was much less than they anticipated. I only stayed in the hospital, I believe, like 3 or 4 days I was in the hospital. And after a month of staying over in Tampa, I was able to return home and just travel back for my post-op appointments. But the recovery time, they were actually amazed that my transplant team, that my recovery was, coming along very well, and it was, earlier than expected. I was able to get up out of bed the day of the surgery. That evening I was up walking around the hospital. So, all I can say, but God. But God.
Yes. And those of you who may not know, we reside in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, but we chose to have our kidney donation at Tampa General Hospital. Their stats speak for themselves. They're like top 5 in the country. So it was worth us packing up, and moving over there. My recovery time, I was required to stay 2 weeks minimum in Tampa General, in the Tampa area. So I would say I was in the hospital. I could have went home after 2 days, but I wanted to be extra careful and stay a third night, because they were treating me like a celebrity. They rolled out the red carpet. I had a parade. The food was amazing once I got an appetite. Which I didn't get till the last day. And our favorite was the hospital grilled cheese and salad. The grilled cheese were amazing. Always thinking about it. But my recovery time, I was out of the hospital after the 3rd night. It was a lot of sleeping. Of course, there was pain in your abdomen area, but there was an abdominal binder, and it was a lot of sleeping. The pain was so worth it and bearable that I would do it all over again. If I had more than one kidney, you get a kidney, you get a kidney, you get a kidney. I would just give them out like Oprah would give out cars. it was so worth it. I would do it all over again. So that's basically, but the funny story that I must tell about our recovery time, because we weren't staying in the same apartment unit. My caregiver and I walked over on Christmas Day to her unit, and she's like literally power walking through the door. I was like, what? And I'm walking bent over. I was shocked to see how well she was, and it just brought tears to my eyes to see that I could give her a better quality of life.
Yeah, it had been a long time that, you know, since I had felt like that. I mean, the day I had the surgery, when I woke up in recovery, I felt a difference in myself immediately after the transplant. I felt the difference. As far as the eating, of course, after you have a major surgery, you really don't have an appetite. So I really wasn't eating much, just soft soup, soft foods, broth, and things like that. Even it took like a month for me to really have an appetite. I was eating something, but I wasn't really eating a lot because, again, you know, I have this foreign object that, you know, that wasn't native to my body, that had to be acclimated to my body. So of course there were, you know, little setbacks, but it was nothing that was unbearable. And then of course with the, you know, with meds, you know, you had to get acclimated to that. But all in all, the recovery was not that long. Yes, there are, you know, some side effects where, you know, you have to be careful, and that's with anything. But I would say I wouldn't let that be a deterrent of whether or not I would want to go through a transplant, because trust me, it is definitely the gift of life. Definitely the gift of life. I am so forever grateful for Trish for giving me a second chance at life. So, you know, that all I can say is just God. Nothing but God.
Don't make me choke up, because when I was in recovery and back in the room where I was able to function and know where I was, for them to come and tell me, to hear the words that my kidney transplanted successfully and she started producing urine immediately. Oh, I'm not gonna cry.
Nope, we got this.
It was just a joy, because I didn't know my purpose in life, and this is my purpose, to make a change and bring diversity and make living kidney donation and deceased organ donation not be a rare unicorn movement for us. We're the Black unicorns, and without Kimberly, she saved my life. Of course, I'm taking better care of myself, and just for her to give me this divine purpose and this gift, I would not be able to be before you on this topic if it wasn't for her. So you saved my life too.
Thank you. That goes into the transplant meds. So originally, you know, you hear this myth about, oh, you know, after a transplant, you take a ton of meds and this and that. You know, it's individualized. It is tailored to each individual, to your health needs, to any prior health conditions you may have had prior to your kidney disease. So for me, I'm on 3 anti-rejection medications. I take tacrolimus. I take that. I take 2 milligrams twice a day, morning and night. I take 5 milligrams of prednisone once a day. I take mycophenolic acid, which is comparable to Celsep. I take 720 milligrams twice a day, and those are all the transplant meds I take. So please don't listen to people when they tell you, oh, if you do that, you're going to be on tons of meds. Go and get the education firsthand. And like I said, everything is tailored to each individual. What may have worked for someone else, it may not work for you. And yes, when you are on the meds, there is a general, what they call cocktail that they have for kidney transplant, patients. And it's trial and error. If there is something that isn't working for you, you tell your transplant team immediately, hey, this is what I'm feeling. Because if you don't express your side effects and what are you feeling, they don't know, because they're not with you. You have to advocate for yourself. You have to pay attention to your body. What different things are happening after you take the meds. So mine was adjusted. It took maybe about 6 months for me to have the right cocktail, that was suited for me, my body type, my condition, and things of that nature. So you just have to go and be educated to what will work for you. Don't listen to the myths. You go and find out firsthand.
Thanks, Kimberly, for the explanation of the meds. Explain who covered the hospital costs and why you don't have lifetime meds to take. That question must be for me. And I am one of the fortunate, blessed persons who never saw a hospital bed, but hospital bill. I saw a hospital bed, but not a bill. And that's because Kimberly's insurance was Humana, and it was very good insurance. Very good insurance. I've never had to pay a copay, and they allowed me to stay in the hospital and recover as long as I needed. It wasn't you can only stay 2 nights and you have to leave. It was a really good insurance, covered everything 100%. And I don't have to have any lifetime meds because I just donated a kidney, and because Kimberly has the foreign object, which is my kidney, she has to have the meds, the anti-rejection meds and all the other things. So I was not on any medications, prescriptions prior to donating my left kidney, so I don't have to be on any afterwards. And it asks, is there a downside to donating a kidney? Yeah, that I didn't do it sooner. Or I didn't know about it any beforehand. But with all seriousness, the downside wouldn't be really a downside for me, because I was not heavy on, I guess you could say, taking NSAIDs, which is ibuprofens, Aleve, Motrins. I wasn't so big on them. I only used them probably when I was in the fire academy, because I left there sore every night, but I wasn't a big dependent on NSAIDs. You have to pretty much swear those off, but just take them if you need it in moderation. Some transplant centers says don't take them. Some says yes if necessary, but not make it a lifetime. So best to listen to your transplant doctor. And also with your protein intake, you have to monitor that and make sure you're not taking so much protein in taking it, because it can be hard on the one kidney that's left. So no downside for me. I have zero regrets, like I said before. And the last question, what happens if down the road you need a kidney? Well, we hope that doesn't happen, but if it does, the education is there, and there's a transplant waiting list where they do a point system. Most people may think that we automatically go to the top of the list. We do get special preference or priority, but however, the matching system is going to match the kidney. If someone is a better match for the kidney that needs to be transplanted, they're going to give it to that person instead of me. So they're going to do everything in their power, just like with Kimberly, to make sure the kidney that I would need would be better fit or better match. So it's like a priority preference number system. But we are not going to go in there. But if you are donating, there are like paired exchange and voucher programs with certain agencies where you may have a first preference, a first priority. So it goes by basically what your transplant team does, and if you're going to the National Kidney Registry or UNOS. So it all depends. But we're not going to think of that. The goal is for me to stay happy and healthy and happy. So with that being said, we are going to wrap things up with this Q&A. I actually enjoyed it.
I did.
And I want to thank Miss Shirley Scott-Rill of EMAT for inviting us for this Q&A. And stay tuned for all this month, because her foundation, MMDF, they're both 501c3s. We're getting the word out and getting the knowledge. So stay tuned and continue to support, and change the narrative during National Multi-Ethnic Donor Awareness Month. Till next time.
Bye.
Later. Bye.